right. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the CoachCon Podcast. So today, this is episode 8, and I'm very pleased to say I'm joined by my very good friend, Aoife Quinn, who is a coach just like myself. She's a fully online coach. She's working with women who want to drop body fat, change their life, and level up their mindset without falling into the trap of over-restriction, which we are going to have a little bit of a deep dive in today with that. So Aoife, brilliant to have you on. So for anyone listening who doesn't know you just yet, could you give us a quick introduction to who you are, what you do, and what type of women that you work with?
Yeah, so obviously my name is Aoife. I've been coaching for about 2 years now. And to be honest, the main reason that I got into coaching is because growing up throughout my teenage years, like going to the gym, dieting, and just sort of finding what the best thing to do was such a struggle for me. And I majorly struggled with confidence. Like I always said, everyone, whenever I won the calls with like clients coming on board, if you knew me 10 years ago, you wouldn't think that we were the same people. And like it did take a lot of work, but I just think that as a coach, I want to give my clients everything that I've learned, because I know that it's hard, and it's even harder to do things on your own. I'm 24. I went to uni. I have a degree. Never use it. And I'm just online coaching at the minute, and I'm loving it.
Fabulous. No, that's brilliant. For reference, what is your degree in? What is it you do?
Architecture.
Wow. That's
so irrelevant, yeah.
Very good. Well, maybe one day it'll come in handy. But
Yeah.
one of your sort of main points that I see you make your content is the no over restriction thing, which I love. But for yourself, what does that look like in practice for one of your girls?
Yeah, so the main thing is, like I always said, everybody, is you can come in to a coaching program, and for the 12 weeks you could be 100% not miss a beat. But I actually find that you don't learn very much from that. You don't learn much from being 100% with your food, with your training. I actually would rather that they were able to go out for a meal out at the weekend and find that wee bit of balance around, right, what works for me, right? The day before I go out, what am I going to do? The day after, what am I going to do? Because everybody's mindset around having off-plan meals and going out drinking is going to be completely different. So it's not really like a one size fits all in terms of like that wee bit of balance. So if in the first 6 weeks of coaching we can work and we can find a system that you can implement every time you have maybe like a social occasion or like a night out, you can sit down, you know what you're doing, and then it means that you're not ruining any progress. You're still getting to go and enjoy yourself, but it just makes your life so much better, because it's all well and good being strict for the initial 12 weeks, but I just don't think you really learn that much from being 100.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very much about the education side of things. I think that's what makes a great coach from an average coach. It's, can you educate someone? Can you teach them?
Yeah.
Learn how the body works. So that's fantastic. One thing I'd love to know as well is why do you think so many folks fall into fad diets and over restricting, and particularly sort of obviously women as well. I've found as a coach, it's usually the girls that do fall into that kind of thing. What would you say the reasoning is behind sort of, as I say, fad diets and over restriction?
I think a lot of people just want a quick fix, and it is maybe just down to lack of education as well, because like we're both coaches, like we know losing weight on paper is easy, right? Just be in a calorie deficit, go to the gym, it's easy enough. But I think a lot of people don't want to put in the time. They maybe don't have the level of discipline just yet to commit to something like that. So they just want a quick fix. And like what I always find is like it's usually in the run up to something. So like during the summer you'll have people going on holidays, it's like 2 weeks before their holiday, and they're like, oh, I'm not in good shape, so I'm gonna only drink juice for the next 2 weeks. And it maybe makes them feel a little bit better, but in the long run you don't learn anything from that. You're just damaging your relationship with food, and you're probably going to end up in a worse position after something like that.
Yeah, no, massively. That's it. It's definitely that relationship with food that I think people really do fall down on, and it's about rebuilding it in case for some people, or again, not actually falling into it to start with.
Yeah.
So one of your key messages, and something that I've learned through watching you, is of course helping women build confidence. And what would you say confidence actually means to you? as an individual, first of all?
I just think that it's just being comfortable with who you are and what you actually want to do with your life more so than anything, and just living the life without thinking so much about, oh, what are they saying about me? Oh, if I wear this, what are they going to think? And it does really hold you back. And something that I've noticed over, say, the past 2, 3 years is like, see, when you stop caring about what other people think, you actually start to live the life that you want to live rather than the life that you think you should live. Like, whenever I was in uni, I graduated about 2 years ago, and like I think everybody thought I was gonna become an architect. Oh, 50 grand a year, it's brilliant. And then I actually turned around and said, no, I'm gonna be an online coach. And it took a lot of confidence for me to do that, and I had to have that level of confidence in myself to just sort of go for it rather than go for the option that everybody else thought was better. And I just think if you are lacking a little bit of confidence, it is going to take a little bit of time to build that up, but it is just about pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone that you're in and doing things that you maybe wouldn't usually do, because like that's like the main thing for me, and that's how I've got to this point where I am that wee bit more confident and I am just living the life that I actually want to live.
Certainly. No, I love that. That's brilliant. And certainly brilliant. A brilliant message that I think a lot of people are sort of going to say this and go, yeah, like I want that as well. So
Yeah.
obviously fat loss as well is something that you coach on and
Yeah.
well, coach confidence as we say. Do you think those things come separately or are the two things particularly linked in a way?
I think for a lot of people, there is going to be a little bit of a link between feeling a little bit more confident in yourself, in your skin, and then also having that confidence like outside of the gym. Like it is definitely something that goes hand in hand. I think more so than anything, when people do start on like a weight loss journey or they're going to the gym, it's more so maybe subconscious than an actual physical change that's creating that confidence. So it's more so you feel better in your body because you're moving, because you're working towards a goal. So that gives you a little bit of a boost in confidence. Same goes for the consistency, the discipline. You have the confidence in yourself that you can actually do this thing. And that will show you that you're capable of so much more than you probably think. So I think a lot of the time it does go hand in hand. I think it's never going to be a case of I will be confident when I weigh this amount or when I look like this, when I fit into these jeans. It's never going to be a case of that. And I think a lot of people get stuck in a trap of thinking that they'll feel better when they get to a certain weight or they fit into a certain pair of jeans. Like that's not going to be the case. And something that I do focus on with a lot of the girls in the group at the minute is, as well as building ourselves physically through losing weight, building muscle, whatever it might be, we also do a little bit of work on confidence. So I would do like a lot of trainings in the group with the girls on things that I've done and just honestly my personal experience on what's helped me build that wee bit of confidence, because you can't just expect it to come by losing weight, because that might not be the case, and you will have to do a little bit of work on yourself outside of the gym, outside of the food, just to build up that wee bit of confidence.
Certainly. No, very, very good advice. And what would you say is one of the biggest mindset shifts that you try and help the girls make early on?
Oh, I would say probably the most common one is like sort of, I think especially girls' mindsets around the number on the scales, what they weigh, how much weight they're losing. And to be honest, like it's something that I've struggled with in the past as well. I think everybody has this sort of concept of somebody who weighs 12 stone looks like this, somebody who weighs 10 stone looks like this. And like I've learned over the past couple of years, that is not the case whatsoever. And it's just good to detach yourself from that number. It's so freeing, and it means that you can actually enjoy the process so much more. Because a few years ago, like I started with a coach maybe 3, 4 years ago now, and I used to dread weighing myself on a Sunday. I used to absolutely hate it, and it can ruin the whole process for you if that's the only thing that you are focusing on. And like for a lot of the girls as well, like once we come out of like fat loss sort of phase and we go into like building a little bit of muscle, that's where the true shift in mindset around scale weight comes, because they still look good but the scale weight is going up and they're like, right, okay, and it sort of changes things. And I think that that is sort of the biggest game changer there.
Certainly. No, that's with that being said then, Aoife, do you think the scales can sometimes do more harm than good?
I think for some people, yeah. Like I have a couple of girls at the minute, we don't weigh because it will just throw them off completely if we get a
Mhm.
spike up. And then vice versa, when we're getting big drops, they're really happy about that when it might not necessarily
Mhm.
always be a good thing. So we do remove the scales for some of the girls.
Mhm.
But I think most of the time after a couple of weeks, once I explain the process, how Scalebit works, a lot of the girls do sort of take that on board and they do weigh themselves, but they just try not to take it too literally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, what would you say some of the non-scale wins are that you encourage the girls to celebrate?
Like trying on clothes that maybe didn't fit them a couple of months ago, like that's the biggest one. And I know especially for women, because we do focus so much on like what size of jeans are you, that is
Mm.
probably one of the biggest wins. And just feeling better in yourself, like if you look in the mirror, but like week one versus week six, like you will see a change, and it is always that wee bit harder to see that change in yourself, but you will eventually notice like little lines, little details come through. Like maybe
Mm.
someone will compliment you in the gym, or like you're going out, you're noticing that you're looking better in photos. Like little things like that are such bigger wins for me than hitting a certain weight on the scales.
Certainly, certainly. And would you say that's probably the main way you track your progress with the girls, or do you focus sometimes on strength and numbers and that kind of thing too?
Yeah, so a lot of the girls, whenever like they initially come to me, like the main thing I sort of focus on is progress photos,
Mm.
because you can't deny the physical changes, you can't really deny it. And then I always say to them, you know, if you have a pair of jeans at the minute that are maybe a little bit tight, don't fit you, keep them, and come week six, week seven, we'll try them back on and we'll see where we're sitting. Because sometimes I think it is hard to see the changes in yourself
Mm.
even when you're taking like the weekly check-in photos and you're just thinking, oh, I look the same. And then when you do something like that, you try like a pair of jeans on and you do actually notice the change, that will make you feel so much better.
Certainly. No. And would you say there's one particular habit that you'd say makes the biggest difference in terms of fat loss results for the girls?
I think having a routine is
Mm.
probably the biggest thing for me, and it's so underrated. Because a lot of people think, right, track your food, prep your meals, go to the gym, right? That's fine, but if you don't have a plan around when you're going to do them things, 9 times out of 10 people get lazy. People won't go out for their steps in the evening. They won't get up in the morning and do their cardio. And if you're working, if you have kids, you have a busy life, you're never going to fit these things into your day unless you literally sit down and plan them out. And like for me, I literally love my routine. Like I'll go to sleep at the same time, I'll wake up at the same time, I more or less do the same things at the same time every day. And I think that's what's kept me so consistent over the past couple of years, because you'll get days where you maybe don't want to go to the gym, you don't want to go and do your cardio, do your steps, but if you
Mm.
have that routine built, it's just a matter of going and do it, and it just becomes second nature for you. It's not that you have to go, oh, I have to go do my cardio now. It's not even a thought. I just literally go and do it. So definitely routine.
Fabulous. No, very, very good. And yeah, I agree. I think once you get those sort of lists in place, if you like, and time slots of to do things, it's just a matter of going and ticking the box rather
Yeah,
than thinking about it.
100%.
So, very, very good. So, one thing is, as well, obviously, you say about building the relationship with food and that kind of thing. So, how do you help the girls manage things like social events, meals out without derailing progress or worse, as well, feeling that they've, messed it all up and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So the main thing is, right, so people, I think a lot of girls before they come to me, they'll go out for a night out, they'll go out for a meal out, and it will just be a case of like, how much food can I eat? Because I'm having this whole day off plan, and it will just
Mm.
turn into a binge, right? So the main thing we focus on is just putting a little bit of structure around that day. So, say for example, we had a meal out on a Saturday night. What I get the girls to do is two good meals in the bag before we head out, because we don't want to be over restricting. We don't want to starve ourselves all day before we head out, because that is just going to lead to a binge. You're going to go out to a restaurant, you're going to be starving, you're going to order half the menu. If we have two good high protein meals in before we head out, we're satisfied, we're grand. I always get them to send me over some photos of that as well, just so I can make sure that we're actually doing that. And then we go for our meal out. So plan is always we go for either a starter and a main, or a main and a dessert, right? It gives us that little bit of enjoyment. We're getting some good food in, but we're not going absolutely mad. And then the next day, we get up, we go out for some movement, and same thing goes. They send me over their first 2 meals, plenty of protein in there, and we're good to go. Like, it sounds so simple, but people overcomplicate it, like.
Yeah, no, that's very true, very true. And with that, what would you say that the hardest conversations have been that you've had to have, with a client? Is there anything in particular that stands out?
Yeah, so usually, obviously, we have this structure, but like, we're all human, and people will slip up. And like, you do get cases of people will just go out for a meal out, or they're away on holidays, and they will just go absolutely mad. And it is always good when they come to me afterwards and they're honest, because the worst thing that you can do is keep things like that from your coach, because if we don't know about it, there's not very much we can do about it. So I think things like that is a particularly hard conversation, because if it is the case that someone is going out and they're binging, it could be like a little underlying eating disorder that we might have, or just something that we've struggled with for years and years and years. So it is always tough, and it's tough because they're having to be so honest about like the reasons why. I think that that's probably the hardest.
Certainly, yeah. No, I appreciate that. And how do you handle it when someone isn't being consistent or honest with themselves or with you?
Yeah, so like, whenever someone comes to me initially, obviously we have training, nutrition, steps, cardio, we have all of that. But if you can't be consistent with any of it, having it all there is a bit redundant, to be honest. So like, what I'll always do is I'll just strip it right back to basics, and we'll just focus on one thing at a time. So depending on what we're struggling with, but like for food, for example, if we're struggling with consistency around tracking food, we'll just strip that back. We'll focus on getting 3 good meals in a day, protein with every meal, good source of carbs, fruit or veg. And then once we're consistent with that, we'll slowly reintegrate the tracking. Well, like, the main thing is you don't need to overcomplicate it, and for everybody it's going to be different, and it's just about, right, what can you actually do, and what can we actually fit into your lifestyle that's going to move you forward here.
Yeah, certainly. And is there anything that you wish women knew more about fat loss and a fitness journey before they even start?
Lifting weights won't make you bulky. That's the biggest one, honestly. It's hard to build muscle. Like, it's so hard, and it's frustrating. And like, I was the same whenever I started the gym. I remember, like, I stopped doing leg extensions because I was like, no, my quads are gonna get too big. But it's actually not the case. Like, unless you're jumping on gear, you're not gonna turn into like a mini Ronnie Coleman or anything. Do you know? I wish it was that easy, honestly.
Yeah, certainly. And going back to obviously what we're saying about meals out and flexibility, do you think meal plans can help or harm most women's fat loss journey?
I think meal plans have a time and a place. For me, I honestly don't love giving out meal plans, because again, I don't think you learn very much when I'm telling you exactly what to eat. Meal plans would probably be my best bet when it comes to like getting unreal results, because it is so controlled. But you'll not learn anything. You'll not learn how to actually track your food. You'll not learn what works for you. In saying that, there is a time for them. So for example, at the minute, I have a couple of girls on Photoshoot prep. Things do get a little bit tougher, calories are a little bit lower, and sometimes the head can just absolutely fall off. So the less we have to think about things, the easier it is for them. So in them situations, when we do get into like the final weeks of digging, we always have a meal plan there, and like, I'm pretty flexible on it. If you can still track your food and fit in things that you actually want to eat, you go for it, but the meal plan is always there. And a lot of times the girls who are on photoshoot preps will rather the meal plan.
Yeah, certainly. But going back to perhaps a girl that's maybe just at the start of her fitness journey, maybe worried, as I say, about the gym and that kind of thing. How would you handle, girls that are maybe a little bit intimidated by the gym floor, for example?
Yeah, like, I understand. Like, I remember the first time I ever went to the gym, and I literally just went on the treadmill and then left, because the weight section always seems so scary, and I think it is just that perception around the gym, but it is honestly the complete opposite. Ideally, if they're local, I always try and get a session in with the girls in a gym, because I think that it makes them feel so much more comfortable, and they see how easygoing the gym environment is. And like for example, like I had a girl sign up a couple of weeks ago and I met her for a session, and she was so afraid to get on the leg press, and then now she's literally smashing it. So it is just that case of like pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. But at the start, if I can't meet them for an in-person session, I was just there, right, plan it out, right? You have your training plan on the app, you know exactly what you're going to do. Go at maybe a quieter time, have a little bit of a walk about, look about the gym, see where everything is, suss the place out, and then just be consistent with it. Like the more you're there, the more you're in that environment, the more confident you will feel. And if you are consistently going, see, after 2 weeks, it won't seem as daunting as what it did on that first day.
Certainly. And speaking of training as well, do you feel there's one underrated exercise that more women should be doing?
Ooh, Bulgarians split squats. Honestly, they're a killer. I hate them, but they're one of the best. If you actually want to grow a decent set of glutes, you need to be doing them. They'll make you reconsider your life choices, but it's always worth it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Very good. And obviously you mentioned at the start of your journey as well, you know, confidence and being a different woman to who you are now. If you could give one message to your younger self about confidence, what would that be?
Oh, just stop thinking, because it just holds you back. You can majorly overthink every single little situation in your life, but realistically, that situation is just happening in your brain, and in the real world, it doesn't actually matter, and it'll just hold you back from doing the things that you actually want to do. And like I think maybe going back 10 years ago, like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life and what that future was gonna hold for me, because I was so unconfident. I was like, how am I ever gonna live? So just stop thinking and just do whatever you want.
Fantastic. I love that. And what's your favourite confidence win, if you like, outside of the gym that fitness has given you, do you think?
Oh, probably I would say sort of linking with the gym, but the photo shoots definitely. Because even like in the past 2 years, so last year obviously did my first photo shoot. In the past 2 years, it was something that I always wanted to do, but it was something that I never thought I would actually do. You know, it was one of them. So whenever I did it, it just sort of showed me, right, like I can actually do this. I can do whatever I want. It doesn't matter. And I think, you know, you might be listening to this and you might have a goal and it seems so like far from where you are now. But if you literally just put the work in and you focus on that goal, like you will get there. It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible.
Yeah, certainly. And you know, obviously you've touched on photo shoots a few times, so just some little bits around that. Did anything surprise you about the process of doing it, either physically or mentally? You know, either in the run up to it or actually being in front of camera.
I think the process of prepping for a photo shoot, right, it is obviously hard,
Yeah,
but
talk
because
through it.
you're
Yeah.
because you are so focused on that goal, like obviously you're so laser focused, so any little slip ups in your food, your nutrition, they are rare, because you know, right, on this date I have to be lean in front of a camera. I think the main thing that I struggle with, and a lot of girls that I've like spoke to over the past couple of weeks have struggled with, is the post shoot. And I think it's something that really a lot of people don't talk about, because you've had this period of over restriction, say maybe 12, 16 weeks, and then you're taking that goal away. The goal is done. You don't need to look good anymore. And you're not focused on anything, and it is hard to manage sort of the cravings and the hunger coming off the back of that period of over restriction, really. So I think that that's definitely one of the biggest things that I've struggled with. But honestly, the main thing is the quicker you get back into routine post shoot, the easier it's going to be. And like that is sort of a bit of like a make or break time, because you can hold this condition and you can build a serious amount of muscle because you are so lean, or you can fuck it all up. So just having that wee bit of structure around post shoot is definitely like something that we need to be having.
Certainly. And for yourself, doing when you did your 4th shoot Yeah. How did you feel seeing those final photos for the first time? Was it like a, I've made it kind of moment, and were you proud?
Yeah, no, it was mental. Like I was standing in the gym, working, and like I got the photos through, and I was like, "Holy fuck, this is me!" Like it is surreal because obviously you go through the process, you see yourself, but it is always so much different seeing the photos and like the finished product.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, a lot of you girls have done photo shoots, as we've seen. And why do you think that's such a powerful goal for women? Something so strong, do you think?
I think the main reason is like the confidence thing because a lot of times like when someone signs up with me, on the call, I might talk through like the possibilities, like what we could do here. And whenever I mention a photo shoot, they're always like, no, I could never do that. And then
Mm.
maybe 3 months down the line, it's actually a conversation that we're having. And then from there to getting them in front of the camera, it's unbelievable to see like the change in confidence. Like, so one of the girls I had shoot there in July before the photo shoot, like the day before, she was really nervous, and
Mm.
there's only so much you can say. And then we got to the studio after the first sort of round of photos, just the change in confidence, and she just embraced it and like enjoyed the process so much more. And like it's just so nice to see somebody become so much more confident.
Fantastic. And of course, you mentioned if they're not necessarily ready to do a photo shoot, how do you sort of approach that with them? Is it just kind of giving them a little bit more confidence or a boost? Or do you feel there's something that you specifically to make them feel like, right, I'm ready to lock in and do one?
I think you're probably never gonna feel ready. Like so, like a couple of the girls, like we mapped out photo shoots at the start of the year, and from where they were in January, they were saying to me like, "If I'm not ready," and it is just a case of listen, don't think about it too much, just enjoy the process. Do what you need to do, and we will talk about it again in a couple of months. And it is always then they're feeling so much better. So I do think you're never maybe gonna feel ready, but you will surprise yourself in what you can do in such a short period of time.
Fabulous. Yeah. Aoife, this has been absolutely fantastic. Before we close, what's one actionable tip you'd give to a woman listening to this who maybe feels stuck, frustrated, maybe losing a little bit of belief in herself? What would you say?
I would say pick one thing that you can do literally today, now, when you're listening to this, that is gonna get you back on plan, back into routine, and just make you feel a little bit better. Just literally one thing. Don't overcomplicate it. It could be go for a walk. It could be do your food shop, plan your meals. Something simple that will just give you that wee bit of a quick win.
Fabulous. And finally, where can people connect with you online, follow your work, or reach out if they want to learn a little bit more about you?
So on Instagram and TikTok, I am Aoife Quinn underscore coaching. That's probably the best place to find me.
Absolutely fantastic. Aoife, it's been a pleasure. Thank you ever so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on, and I shall
Thank
look
you.
forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you. Take care.